We've all seen those over-the-top videos of people saying, "I spent 24 hours eating as much food as I can," or "I ran for 24 hours straight to see how many calories I can burn," or sometimes even a combination of both. But in the end, these videos always become just an over-edited podcast with the people in them gradually getting sluggish and sweaty and then throwing up.
There is nothing better.
But this got me thinking, how many calories is it actually possible for a person to both consume and burn in 24 hours without putting their health at risk? It's quite easy to gain or lose a lot of weight in a single day, but the quickest methods usually involve tricks that are extremely unhealthy and often related to either drinking a lot of sugary drinks or dehydrating yourself to drop water weight. But I want to find what is reasonable for a regular and healthy human being to be able to achieve without having to be rushed to the hospital as soon as the camera's cut. To clarify, we will be calculating in terms of calories consumed and calories burned. That way we don't have to think about things like water weight. To start, let's talk about something called the basal metabolic rate. This is the number of calories that a person burns naturally through essential bodily functions such as pumping blood, thinking, and breathing. Including this number in how many calories a person burns seems boring since no effort is actually required. So we won't be including it in the final number. However, finding how many calories we would need to consume does mean that we need to find both the BMR and the number of calories burned through exercise. But first, let's find the best exercise. My first thought was that there must be some sort of routine for bodybuilders or athletes that requires a constant intake of calories for muscle growth, as well as intensive training for fat loss. Cardio is widely accepted as being the most efficient for burning calories, but it's way too energy inefficient and would leave you drained way too quickly. So we probably want something more strength focused. And then he appeared. It's perfect. Sumo wrestlers famously train very hard every day and already have clearly laid out strict, healthy diets to maintain their stamina, their strength, and their fat to muscle ratios. So in order to reach our final number, we must find: Step 1. The number of calories that a sumo burns in a single day. Step 2. A sumo's muscle and fat percentages. Step 3. The calories they burn per kilogram of fat and per kilogram of muscle. And Step 4. The muscle and fat percentages of an average person. But just how many calories can you burn and gain while living like a sumo for a day? To find answers, I flew all the way to Japan to speak to a real sumo wrestler. Turns out it's surprisingly hard to find a sumo to ask about these things. Some scholarly articles say that sumo wrestlers burn over 5,000 calories daily. Some say over 7,500, and some say it's closer to 10,000 calories for the day. So let's take some averages. If the range seems to be somewhere between 5,000 to 10,000 calories, let's use 7,500 calories as our number. Across all these sources, there seems to be some consistency in that the wrestlers will exercise twice a day for a total of around 6 hours. They'll eat 2 meals a day that consist mostly of white rice, fish, other meats, and vegetables. A pretty healthy diet overall. So, how do we calculate how many calories you can burn by exercising like a sumo wrestler? A larger person will need to expend more energy than a smaller person when doing the same activity, since it takes more energy to move a larger body. Additionally, muscle mass requires more caloric intake to maintain, so the amount of calories that two people of the same weight will burn while doing the same activity will also differ. Therefore, in order to find our answer for the maximum amount of calories an average person can safely burn in a single day, we next need to calculate the BMR of an average sumo wrestler. In a study published in 2019, it was revealed that sumo wrestlers now weigh an average of around 160 kilos and have a body fat percentage of around 25 to 30%. If we plug the lower end of that range into a BMR calculator, we are given the number of 2,960 calories. That means that 7,500 calories minus 2,960 calories gives us 4,540 as the number of calories that a sumo wrestler is able to burn purely through exercise in a single day. But now, how do we calculate how much the average person could burn? Like I mentioned before, fat and muscle consume calories at different rates, at a ratio of around 5 to 13 respectively. So if 25% of a sumo's 160 kilogram weight is body fat, that means that they have around 40 kilograms of body fat. The weight left over is referred to as fat-free mass, and that includes everything else in the body like muscle, blood, and even the skeleton. The muscle mass percentage of a sumo wrestler's FFM is around 55%, meaning that the muscle mass weighs 66 kilograms. To find the amount of calories that the fat and muscle each burned, we must first multiply the ratios by the weights. Those equations come out as 5 times 40 equals 200, and 13 times 66 equals 858. Therefore, the ratio of calories that were burned by the fat versus the muscle comes out as 200 to 858, or approximately 1 to 4.3. Using this ratio, we can determine that of the 4,540 calories that a sumo wrestler burns in a day, 857 of those calories can be attributed to the fat mass, and 3,683 can be attributed to the muscle mass. Finally, dividing those numbers by the weight of the fat and muscle gives us the final numbers of 21.41 calories burned per kilogram of fat each day, and 55.8 calories burned for each kilogram of muscle. Now we just have to apply those numbers to a regular person. Since sumo wrestlers are predominantly Japanese, we'll use the stats for the average Japanese person first. Japanese men have an average height of 1.72 meters and a weight of 70.7 kilograms. Japanese women have an average height of 1.58 meters and a weight of 55.3 kilograms. The average body fat percentage for a Japanese man is reportedly 24.5% and 31.1% for women. That gives us a fat mass of 17.3 kilograms in men and 17.2 kilograms in women. The remaining FFM is made up of 42% muscle mass in men and 34% muscle mass in women, giving us 22.43 kilograms and 12.95 kilograms of muscle respectively. This comes out to the final result of the average Japanese man and woman being able to burn a total of 1,622 calories and 1,091 calories. And here are the results for the UK, America, and Australia. Yippee! I don't know why, but these numbers just feel small. I mean, people always say that you build muscle in the gym and lose fat in the kitchen, but I guess this really just goes to show how true that is. Maybe I messed up my calculations somewhere, and I don't even want to look at metabolism as a factor because it scares me. But I think the conclusion we can make is that these calorie challenges are just bollocks.
There is nothing better.
Thanks for watching. If you're watching and you noticed any holes in my method or my calculations, please feel free to drop me a comment below and I might revisit the numbers for a better conclusion in the comments. I've also left links to all my sources of research in the description. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.